Yeah,
Like,
I'm starting to finally. It took a while, but
Yeah.
Chicago's good for that because it's got, all the suburbs surrounding it, and then like Iowa, Wisconsin all have like clubs that are good, but they're not like it's like New York and LA.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I moved to Chicago before moving to New York, which is where, I think hopefully I'll end up there before too long.
yeah.
But Chicago is great for comedy, but you don't have to worry. I'm not competing with like Dave Chappelle on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
It's a great like.
Dope. Live. Another episode of Adversity Kings. So we have today, what's your first and last?
Eric Emerson.
Eric Emerson. Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
So stand-up comedian down from the city, Chicago.
Yep.
Right?
Mhm.
Awesome. How's your day going, bro?
It's a good day. It's been a nice chill Sunday. Stayed up too late this weekend, so
Yeah.
taking
Working
it easy.
Or just partying?
Working on Friday, and really nothing yesterday. Just hanging out. I had one show yesterday that was fun, and then just went home, and I didn't push it too much last night.
Yeah.
Just stayed up late, and
So Friday you pushed it, Saturday.
Saturday
You
hit
just
the
stayed
one, and then I was about to go to just do a second spot just for the for practice, and then I was like I was up too late Friday night and
Yeah.
took it easy.
Yeah. What got you into comedy?
Oh man. So before I did comedy, I was in bands, very very shitty bands. Can we curse?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We can do everything. Very few people listen.
There we go. The ultimate freedom.
Yes.
So I was in bands for a while, and I don't know. I mean, like I was funny and stuff before then. I always liked being funny, like in class, and
Yeah.
was into funny stuff. I never considered stand up as like an option for stuff to do. And then one of the bands that I was in, I came back from like winter break my junior year, and like the guitarist and the bassist were like mad at each other. They weren't talking, and I had this moment where I was like, "Why am I trying to manage other grown men's emotions and relationships?" I was like,
You don't get paid enough for this.
yeah. I was like, we don't even have a drummer. We're not even a band all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is too much for, and then, so I just kind of like let go of that and wasn't doing anything. And then somebody in one of my classes was like, there's a talent show at the local bar
Yeah.
that you can sign up and do whatever you want. And they were like, you should try and do comedy. So I signed up and did that.
Yeah.
And, I don't remember it super clearly, but it went okay. And I just sort of like, I didn't really consider myself a comedian right away, but then I passed another open mic like a couple months later, and I was like, oh, I did that once, and I went in and did it. And then it snowballed from there. And then eventually you're doing it,
Yeah.
12 times a week or whatever.
Now, are you more of like a freestylist, or do you like spend a lot of time like preparing and writing bits and things like that?
I would say compared to most in the city, I'm more freestyle than most people
Yeah.
in Chicago. I like crowd work, and I like riffing. I like making stuff up in the moment. Chicago did teach me how to write, because that's a big important skill that
Yeah.
that a lot of I feel like a lot of people who watch it casually don't really a master comedian, you're not really thinking about how well written it is. It comes off,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like conversational
When you're
stuff.
watching it, it looks like it's just coming off.
Yeah.
And then you find out how much time some
Goes
people
into
will
it.
put. But then you'll also find, people that are just like, they'll just freestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just need to smoke a blunt or drink a beer, and then they get out there and they just kind of, they have like points, and then they just kind of go.
Yeah,
from
you
there.
bop between the points and stuff. I
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's Chicago it taught me how to write, which was important because I wasn't structured enough. I'm from North Carolina originally. That's
Yeah.
where I got started. And in North Carolina, I
You
think.
just beat up on Duke, huh?
Oh yeah. UNC wins. Woo!
Right.
There we go. That was very divisive amongst my high school friends on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've been out of the loop for a little bit, and then that was getting the sorority girls heated up.
Yeah.
They were getting excited for that.
That's dope.
But my folks went to UNC, so that's where I was
Oh, okay, awesome.
rooting for them. But anyway, in North Carolina, the comedy is so much less concentrated that I get more stage time than I had material, so I had to fill it.
Yeah.
That's where I think the riffing and off the top of the head stuff came from.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Chicago, it's so much more competitive that for the first 2 years here, it's like I never got more than 5 minutes at a time because you're open mic or a guest spot. You're not
Yeah.
on the label anywhere. So that was when I really had to like, shut up. You don't have time to riff. You got to learn how to make things funny as quickly as possible. And then once I sort of passed through that gauntlet and started getting booked for longer times, And then I got like the privilege back to start messing around again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of been the trajectory so far.
So who's the biggest person you've opened for?
Biggest person I've opened for would probably be Shane Gillis.
Does he have specials on Netflix?
His special, he put out a self-produced one on YouTube.
Okay.
He was the guy who got fired from SNL, famously. It was his
okay. What did he
claim
get
to
fired
fame
for again?
for like an offensive podcast clip.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. That'll get you.
Yeah. It was. It comes for everybody one day.
Yeah.
Everyone's
We've
got
definitely, like, if we ever blow up.
Everyone's got the backlog.
Yeah. We've got some recorded, and we just pushed them out there, and I was like, everybody else is doing it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Send it.
But he's I think it got like 4 or 5 or 6 million. Something.
Yeah.
3 to 6. I forget exactly, but it really blew up, and he's one of my like favorite newer comics.
Yeah.
And working with him was awesome because it was like you can tell he's still new enough to being a big name.
Yeah.
That he like remembers what it's like to be the host. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the feature and stuff like that. So he was
like
a
not
good
too
hang.
far removed from like that process of like the trenches of like, you know what I mean, late nights, early mornings, and like getting those small spots in and bombing and shit like that.
Yeah.
I feel like some of them, I don't know if those big names bomb as much, but I always hear them talk about like, you know, that up and coming game of like traveling and road trips. I don't know if you do a bunch of road trips.
Yeah,
like,
I'm starting to finally. It took a while, but Chicago's good for that because it's got, you know, all the suburbs surrounding it, and then like Iowa, Wisconsin all have like clubs that are good, but they're not like it's like New York and LA.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I moved to Chicago before moving to New York, which is where, you know, I think hopefully I'll end up there before too long.
Yeah.
But Chicago is great for comedy, but you don't have to worry. I'm not competing with like Dave Chappelle on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
It's a great like rent price to stage time ratio where I don't have to worry about like, hey, come to my local show, or if you want, just go down the street and see Bill Burr, you know what I mean? Or Louis or somebody like that.
Yeah.
So you still get good stage time, and you can make the argument you probably get better a little bit faster in New York because you have to compete on a higher level. But you know, for $750 a month and, you know, 5 or 6 clubs in driving range, Chicago's a good.
Yeah.
It's the best B city for comedy in America. Yeah.
Now was it strategic for you to go from North Carolina to Chicago? Did you know you were always going to do that?
I think I beat myself up a little bit about not going to New York. Like, what are you, a pussy? You're not going to fucking you don't want to go hack it in the big city.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and it was like, if you want a CEO position, you don't just apply for that right away.
Yeah.
You know, get a middle management role and you work your way up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, I just did my first like real trip to New York recently, and it was great, but it was also very like eye opening a little bit where you're like, well, this is you're walking with giants out here. Like, these are the big leagues. But no, I mean, it just happened that a lot of North Carolina comics were all around the same time. Like, let's move to Chicago. If we all go at the same time, we'll kind of have like a friend group.
Yeah.
People to split the rent with. So when I moved here, I was like sleeping on a futon in like the living room of it was an apartment that was advertised as a 2-bedroom. In reality, it was a 1-bedroom with an office, and we made it into a 3-bedroom. We put like a curtain up over in front of the living room. And I lived there for a year for like paying like $330 for rent or something like that, because we didn't have jobs or anything like that when we moved here. So yeah, I had to. It was good to move up here with a group of people that you like knew.
Yes.
And then everyone's sort of, you know, gone on to find their own.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the beginning of every endeavor. I feel like I've been in insurance for like 5 years now. Like, first, I think 3.5 years, I lived with somebody, and then I moved into ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And I bounced around in a bunch of apartments, blew a bunch of money, and now I'll stay a majority of my nights at the office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the lease here alone is close to $15,000 a month. So it's like
wild.
I think people see, you know, like as you're working your way up, that, you know, you'll notice more will come in. You know what I mean? Your income will go up, but there's duality to everything. You know what I mean? As things go up, you know, your expenses go up also. And there's different adversities and different things in life, and it's just duality with every you know, great thing. There's a great price.
Yes.
There's a great cost.
Yeah. I saw that a lot when I went to go visit New York, where you're like this is definitely where the best comedy I think in the world takes place. But like, the rent's higher, You're going to be competing more. You
Yeah.
got to be bringing the A game more. People are going to be like, they're going to judge you harder because you're compared now to like the next level of peers or whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely, I feel that.
Yeah, it's nuts. So you grew up in North Carolina. What was that like?
It was great. I love it. I mean, like, if I ever blew up to be like, you know, world class all time stuff, like having a house in North Carolina I loved it. It was, you know, normal suburban life,
Yeah.
middle class, good, big backyard, played in the woods, caught frogs,
Yeah.
chased snakes,
Oh, that's kind of cool. It's
BB
kinda like
guns.
me.
Yeah.
I grew up in Arkansas, so like we lived on like a farm.
There you go.
Frogs, snakes, lizards, the whole deal.
Yeah. I think it
Some
makes for a
pigs.
good childhood.
Yeah.
Being able to go out unsupervised, go explore go walk
Yeah.
around the lake and stuff like that.
Yeah, get fucked up by something outside.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Learn
Brush it off.
Exactly. Yeah. You fall on the skateboard, you got to walk home,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, did you have siblings? What were your parents like? What was everything like?
2 little brothers.
Yeah.
They're both like skateboarders. They both got into skateboarding. They're like closer,
Yeah.
just, you know, based on interests, I think, growing
Yeah,
up. So they hung out with each other more than I hung out with them. I kind of had my like separate
Yeah.
friend group. And both parents are in medicine. So boy, I hope comedy works out.
Yeah. So are they
set the bar high.
doctors or are they pharmacists or?
They're both doctors, but my mom now works in like clinical research trials and stuff for
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals. And my dad, doctor, he was actually the doctor for the Carolina Hurricanes for a long, long time,
Wow.
the hockey team. So yeah, I was there when they won the Stanley Cup in
Wow.
2007, 2008.
That's nuts.
And he started his own practice and now has opened several different like,
Yeah.
you know, business endeavors in the medical field.
So who are you closest with in your life?
In my life?
Yeah.
Whoo! Girlfriend, definitely up there now. I've been seeing the same girl. First, like, real relationship I've had in like 7 years. I was
Yeah.
single for a long time. Since college, I was single. So she's probably closest, you know, like FaceTime every day. She's there for the ups and downs of the comedy and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then local comedian friends. I would say it took me a while to like nail down a friend group in Chicago. I went through a couple, like trying to figure out not only like who was a good friend to me, but also like learning how to be a good friend to other people. Wasn't something that you really have to consider when you're like in college and you're in a dorm and your parents are paying for the, you know, like
Now, did you drop
meal
out
cup.
or did you stay?
I graduated with a degree in sociology,
Okay.
which set me up for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. What's that lead into?
That leads into, they don't even suggest a career for you. Like there's
Yeah.
the professors aren't even like, well, you could do this or
You
this or that.
graduate and they give you like a suggestion list of like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. They're basically like,
Here's
all
your
right. Yeah. They're like,
opportunities.
here's all my opinions. Now get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out in the world. Go, you know, figure it out. So, yeah, it really, I just fell into that. I didn't have any direction in college, really. I was just kind of scrambling. But, you know, I don't know. I almost joined the Marines right before college.
Yeah. Same.
Watched like one episode of The Daily Show and was like, never mind, I'm a liberal. And then, like,
Yeah.
I was very influenced, you know, and then by the time I'm out of college, I was like, I hate liberals. My whole class is liberals. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
just bouncing from like
I feel like
back and forth for a long time.
most people that I like kind of vibe with are kind of like these in-betweeners that don't want to associate with like almost any party or
Yes.
either party because everyone's like stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, everybody takes it so serious that they end up, you know, not realizing that, you know, we're like dividing amongst ourselves. Everybody's trying to fight each other. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it was like,
shit.
because in high school and college, like I wanted, you want that like group acceptance so bad.
Yeah.
And I think that was something else that came with like trying to find friends in
Didn't
Chicago.
North Carolina just flip? Wasn't it a blue?
It might have been.
Did it just flip to a red? I barely pay attention.
Yeah, I've you have to tune out if you want to stay.
I don't know, like what, like the only time I know like what states or what is when there is a presidential election. I'll be like, oh, we're doing this again.
Yeah. And people talk about it in like weirdly like definite terms. Like I heard somebody, I think on stage was like, oh, you know, sometimes I have to leave Illinois and then I'll go to a red state. And you're like, well, Illinois is just blue because of Chicago.
Yeah.
But like as soon as you're outside of Chicago, it might as well be a red state.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when North Carolina was a red state, where I grew up was bluish because it was, suburbs close to the colleges, close to the cities and stuff like that. So yeah, people like to really draw lines around it. And that, that's what would drive me nuts. I'd be like in high school, there's like conservative kids. So it's like, oh, I want to be liberal. I want to be the anti that.
Yeah.
And so then you go, and then in college, I'm like trying to run around and find liberal friends. I'm like, never mind. This is annoying too. Hold on. I'm going to go. And you just bounce back and forth trying to like, and then eventually you throw your hands up. You're like, I just got to figure out what I actually think. I got to stop seeking the acceptance of like a group out there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So you graduate, and then when did you kind of get turned into comedy then?
I did my first couple of shows the last year of college. So I did like 2 or 3 shows.
Those were those stand-ups in North Carolina.
Yes.
Those open mics.
Yeah. So that was like, I had a philosophy professor who was the reason I got into stand-up like seriously. He was he was into comedy. He wanted to teach a class on like the philosophy of comedy and shows and television and stuff like that. Yeah. And the university didn't let him start the class. So he was like, well, I'm just going to start like a club for students. And he asked me to be like one of the members of that. And so, that's how I got into it seriously. And then I did that for a year in college, about a year and a half in Central North Carolina after I graduated, and then moved here like about a year and a half after college.
So who do you look up to the most in comedy?
Louis C.K. was probably like the rock star for me.
Didn't he get like,
he got Me Too canceled for jacking off. Which, on
the phone, or I always hear bits about it.
Yeah, I heard on the phone. I think somebody said that he like blocked the door, and then it came out that was false.
Yeah.
And then it was, so I never came up with a clear definition of what exactly happened. So, but personal flaws, character flaws aside, like I think I saw him on like Conan, and that was probably like, it's like the first time you hear like a band, you're listening to like top 40 hits all the time.
Yeah.
And then you hear like a band that's like, oh, that's my sound. Like I like how that.
Yeah.
And then you become like a hip hop guy or a rock and roll guy. Something pulls you off into that direction. Louis was the guy who I was like, oh, I'm like into comedy. Like that's
Was it his vibe, or was there a bit that kind of like caught you and like you really were like, that's.
I think he had this bit about like complaining on an airplane. Do you remember that? Did you ever see that? So. It was like, it blew up. It was like one of the first things to like go viral. I think like Conan put it out. It was like an interview with Conan.
Yeah.
And he was like, something to the effect of like, I'm on an airplane and everyone's complaining about how shitty it is to be on an airplane. And, the Wi-Fi goes down on the plane. The guy next to me is like, can you believe this? And I'm like, you're sitting on a chair in the sky. You're going to get to LA in 5 hours. It used to take 30 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and something to that effect. And I was like, oh shit, that's smart and funny, and like, a way that I never thought, looking at it through a new frame. Yeah. Perspective. Yeah. And then since then, I went through Patrice O'Neal. Have you ever watched him?
I don't know if I've watched any of his specials.
Ooh, he passed away. It was one of those gone too soon things where he was respected by like every major comic respected him, because he was like his whole thing was like honesty.
Yeah.
And so he was like, he would pick fights with people. He'd like walk audience member. He'd be like, 25% of you should leave when I get up here, because like if the whole crowd likes me, then I'm not doing my job right. He's great, and all his albums on like iTunes and stuff are fantastic. Bill Burr, Norm Macdonald.
What's the Bill Burr special I've watched a couple times? Is the Paper Tigers?
Paper Tiger's great. Have you watched his one in black and white?
I don't know if I have. What's that one called?
Oh, damn, I forget. If you go on Netflix and look for it's filmed in black and white.
I may have seen like the beginning of it.
Yeah,
it sounds somewhat familiar.
That one had a few bits in there that were great, all time. And then Shane Gillis is probably my favorite current guy to watch.
And he's on YouTube more than he isn't on Netflix yet.
No, I think it'll probably take a little bit for him to.
Yeah.
Where's
he based out of?
New York.
New York.
Yeah, he's from Philly originally.
Okay.
And now he's in New York.
Dope. I was in Pittsburgh for a while.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, I guess with your inspiration from these people, do you have a favorite bit that comes to mind, or is it the airplane bit from Louis C.K.
I mean, that was like the one that like kind of the same way. If you go back and like listen to your like the bands that really shook you up in high school, you're kind of like, oh, that was then. You know, not that the bit's dated or anything, but it's like his newer stuff. I think is really good. His second to last special. But I've been more impressed with people's like natural humor. It doesn't have to be like necessarily like riffed or made up or whatever, but I'm not as into like the technical writing of the joke as some people. I'm more interested in like if it feels natural and funny and like true to their character, and you know what I mean? I feel like I don't know why there's a divide, because there shouldn't be, you know, both things are interesting. But like there's sometimes you're watching a comic and you're like that was technically a good joke. Like it was well written. Yeah. But it didn't feel like something you cared about or that was like interesting to you. It just felt like it was smart. Like you were like more clever than the audience. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you just turned a phrase really well. Yeah. Or something like that.
Not as smooth.
Yeah. There's something like almost robotic about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, it would never change venue to venue or year to year or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed by good writing, but that's more what gets me is like
the energy and the vibe.
Yeah, the personality and the natural humor. It doesn't have to, it can be fully scripted.
Yeah.
But if it feels natural, like
almost how you wrap it up, present it, and deliver it, like the entire delivery of the.
Yeah, I like it coming together as like a full piece.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want it to, like if you handed me, I don't want it to be something that anybody could do. That's the way I should put it. Because I like good writing, but I don't want it to be like, if you just wrote this script and handed it to somebody on the street, they shouldn't be able to do it as well as you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's been something I've been chewing on recently.
Now, do you have a mentor in?
I have people who have like really, who've pushed me in the right direction. Yeah. I don't know if I have like, no one's really taken me under their wing.
Yeah.
Comedically, I think hopefully that kind of happens. I think a lot of people get a chance as they move up in comedy to like feature for somebody, go on the road.
Yeah.
You know, some of the people who are like blowing up now are like people who like were Dave Attell's openers on the road or something, like, you know, like other famous comics, took them as their openers for like years. And that's how you get good. But there's a little bit less of that in Chicago because there's not as many, like, national headliners here to like take you places. But I had comics who pushed me in the right direction. A buddy of mine, Kenyon Adamczyk, who's a local Chicago comic, very funny.
Yeah.
And he's also from North Carolina. I was when I came from college to Raleigh, to the capital, where when I was doing college shows all the time, and I had way too much of an ego because I was like, it's the easiest to be the funniest of 5 people doing comedy.
Yeah.
At school or whatever, and then you move to a slightly bigger scene, which is North Carolina, and I showed up to a open mic in like flip flops and shorts.
Yeah.
And he made fun of me till I pushed back because we were like going back, but I just quietly never wore shorts on stage again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, kind of a faux pas or whatever.
Yeah.
In the business, but but yeah, that's one of those things where it's like I think of that very fondly, where I'm like, he was a good enough friend to like point out when he wasn't just there to pat you on the back. He was pointing out when I was doing something that made me look stupid. Yes, absolutely. And that I think might be where I think comedy's got a good, at least when you're with good comics, it's got a good it should be like that. There should be a lot of poking and prodding. I feel
like with anything, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know, if you just kind of, if you're surrounded by individuals that are always patting you on the back, you're never going to get better, whatever you're doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You got to find somebody that's doing it better than you.
Yep.
And be open to that coaching. You know what I mean? Especially like in our industry, we always tell people like, you know, if you want to be successful in sales, you got to be hungry, humble, and open to coaching. But that's pretty much every fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to be hungry, you got to be humble, and then you got to be open to coaching. If you're not getting that fucking coaching, you're done, dude.
Yeah, Peter's out. That's part of the inspiration for like the move to New York, where you're like, you know, you're just putting yourself in like in making yourself a small fish in a big pond again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think in North Carolina, it's not like I wasn't like, I'm not huge. I'm not the biggest guy in Chicago. I wasn't the biggest guy in North Carolina. But every time you make that transition.
Who is the biggest in Chicago?
Whoo!
Right now.
That's, it's tough. I'm sure different people would have different answers. I think Pat McGann, have you heard of him? No. He started opening for, he just filmed something. I don't know what it, or maybe he recorded an album or a special. I don't know where it's going. He was opening for Sebastian Maniscalco.
Okay.
For a while.
Yeah.
So he's like built his own career after that. So he might be technically the biggest. And there's, people who are like the most often cited by the other comics in Chicago, like Jeff Asmus is.
See if we can get these guys, Aiden.
Yes, yeah.
And
bring me in, and then I'll point out like slightly more successful comedians.
Yeah. Let's get the no, dope. What about you? What are some of your favorite bits? And I know with comedy, you can't really release too much of your shit. So I don't know if you've recorded, anything where it's like you want to.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
your favorite shit you've done in your material.
Well,
but don't compromise your shit.
Yeah, no, I'll think of something. This is something fun. Here's stuff it's not ready for the stage, or I'm building it now, but I think is funny.
Yeah.
Is I just thought of this last night at the show, which is that like I was a nerd in high school and middle school and stuff. But I like my two friends in middle school is like guy with a bolo tie, guy with hearing aids.
Yeah.
Like that's the crew I was running with, which is a pretty, we're bottom of the barrel guys.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, so who were you? And in my head, I was like, I was nobody. I was the main character. What are you talking about? I didn't have a thing.
Yeah.
And then you look back, oh shit, I had a thing. I was like the guy with the Lord of the Rings book or the guy with the Lego. You know what I mean? You're
Dude,
like,
I love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That's my all-time favorite.
I was like that weird group of like cool as fuck, bully, but nerd that nobody knew about. Like,
oh, there you go.
Like
that's a good place to be.
No, it was a weird place to be because I would beat the shit out of kids and then I'd go home and sleep with my mom. Like 14, 15, like nobody knows, like nobody's going to listen either, so I don't give a fuck. But like nobody knows, like I was like, but I love like The Hobbit. I don't know if you got into The Hobbit. I read all those books. The books were better than, I love the movies though too. I have such low standards for movies. I just took our office today to go see Morbius. I don't know if you're into Marvel.
I'm not a huge superhero guy. That one looks interesting though.
Damn, bro. Yeah,
was it
Morbius
good?
was good. Yeah. So Morbius was fire. Do you like Game of Thrones though? Since you like Lord of the Rings,
I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I know I need to watch it.
Yeah,
it was one of those things. This is what happened with Game of Thrones is that I had a buddy who loved Game of Thrones and he was like, "You got to watch it. You got to watch it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get to it." And then one day we were at his house and he was like, "All right, guys, we're watching Game of Thrones." We're all like, "I know I don't really want to watch anything right now. Like, let's hang out." And he's like, "No, guys, you gotta watch." And then it just started it on the wrong. Like I wasn't in the mood to start watching it.
Yeah.
And so then I put it off. I love Vikings though.
I love the Vikings.
Vikings
and
was
they
a
just
fun
came out
show.
with Netflix Vikings of Valhalla. It was all right.
It was okay.
And then, I mean, it's so hard to live up to
the original
Vikings.
Yeah. That came out like right when I was like in college and definitely really that boosted my testosterone for like 2 years.
You have to be careful watching that. Anybody that watches that just immediately like, yeah, I can go out and scalp somebody right now.
Yeah, you start picking fights you can't win because you're like, oh,
absolutely.
dude, it's back to being main character in your head. Where you're like, I'm main character, dude. I see the parallels between me and like Chief Viking, Ragnar or whatever.
Yeah,
you're like,
Ragnar.
You're like, that's me, baby. And then you go out and like mouth off and you're like, I told him. And you go home, you're like, never mind. I was just trying to be cool guy in my head.
Yeah, I stay in my head with Chicago, especially with all those stories I hear. It's like I don't even like try to look wrong at people, especially with the driving. I feel like everybody just has some type of like, Glock 40 just sitting on their passenger seat, just ready to blow.
Dude, I'm scared of I moved to this is my first year without roommates.
Yeah.
And so I got a great deal on a 1-bedroom, but where I can afford a 1-bedroom is like
O-block.
It's got some grit. There's I think 32 or 38 shots fired like outside my apartment like at the beginning of winter. No, it's not crazy, but there was like one where like I checked this exactly. Like I checked the Citizen app the next morning. I was like, whoo, 500 feet away, like 38 shots or something like that. And it's got some. I definitely I'm playing it safe in this neighborhood compared to the last spot.
They're coming out with a show on Amazon, The Ring Before the Ring or something.
I'm tentative. The Hobbit movies, they made me nervous because I was a purist.
Yeah, dude. So my buddy, he's actually the first podcast that I recorded, and he runs this media company. So I I basically pay him. He has the media company. He subcontracts and hires out guys like Aiden that runs the podcast. And but he loves Lord of the Rings. But he loves Lord of the Rings so much that he doesn't like The Hobbit that much.
That's
you know
me.
What I mean?
Yeah, because I like the book, but it was too much deviation.
Yeah.
Too much little artistic license, and I've been
so he's
skeptical.
He's skeptical about the show.
Yeah.
He's like, I was telling him, I was like, dude, I'm excited as fuck for the show. And he's like, well, how was there a ring before the ring or something? And he was like already picking it apart.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, can you just enjoy it? Like, lower your standards. Like, this world sucks. Just fucking lower your
standards.
Take it
down.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Bring your standards down so you can enjoy life like the rest of us.
Like everybody else. Yeah. That's I do that in theaters. If I pay like $18 plus $12 for a small popcorn, like I will find something that I like about every movie in theaters. I don't think even movies that like if I saw them on Netflix, I would like turn it off 5 minutes in.
Yeah.
I'll leave there, like $32 in the hole and be like, the special effects were solid though. Like that's so good. But yeah, my dad read me The Hobbit as like a bedtime story.
Yeah.
We read Lord of the Rings together. And that was like me and my friends would like, make wooden swords when we were like 9 years old.
Absolutely, you have to.
So I'm very guarded about it. But
Star Wars is the same deal for me.
Star Wars?
Star Wars was huge.
I didn't get into it to the same extent, but we had a solid like year of Star Wars in there.
That
somewhere.
was a bad main character in the head type deal because I would start to feel like, you know what I mean? I had the Force.
Yeah.
Try some motherfuckers.
Really push it?
Yeah, like really push it.
Guys running at you like...
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Really push that. What about, is there any other movies or shows you really latched onto? Like any ones that are like...
I'll go back and rewatch. Like, I got a real bad habit of like, now for some reason, I don't start new stuff very often. I like, but because I think it's like between, day job, comedy, I'm out most of the time, girlfriend, day, like, I'm just out more than, like somebody who's like working like a 9 to 5, I can understand being like, oh, I got off. I want to see something new. I want to take in a little stimulation. It's probably unhealthy, but I just keep my brain in like a pickle jar between, like between shows and stuff like that. So I'll go back. I've probably watched Futurama like 10 times.
Futurama's funny.
It's just a good,
funny.
And I've seen it so many times that I can like fall asleep to it. I'm not worried about missing it.
I'm that way with like Family Guy.
Same. Yeah.
But I like Family Guy more than Futurama.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think Futurama was, it's easier for me to rewatch because there's fewer seasons.
I just didn't fuck with the girl with the one eye.
The one eye threw you off?
Yeah, it just threw me off.
It wasn't sexy enough?
Yeah, see, I like wanted to like be, like I was at that age where I was like,
oh yeah,
you
get
know what I mean? Like it kind of ruined it for me because like, you just start, watching, that crazy ass shit.
Yeah, you start trying to, you're looking for that?
Yeah, now this girl had one eye and I was like, oh, fuck.
You either get into it, you either get way too into it or you let go.
Yeah, you're like, that's where you like go down that dark path.
Yeah, you start looking at anime porn and stuff like that. Yeah.
Actually, the dude Peter, if you listen to the first podcast, he got like busted. So he runs this media company. He got like busted as like a middle school, like he was a genius, tech genius, and he built like an anime porn like website in middle school.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
Built the website.
He built a website, had it disguised because he was making so much money in middle school from his anime porn. Had it disguised because he was like using his dad's computer or something.
Yeah.
Under some other, website or something.
Yeah.
Where he was able to like get away with it. You know what I mean?
That's bananas.
It was badass.
That makes you absolute kingpin of middle school.
Oh
like the guy who controls the hentai pipeline.
Yeah, dude.
That's Scarface of middle school.
Absolutely, dude. I don't know what happened to his brain, but he was like octopus dicks, and I was like, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place, just tentacles.
You got to fight through it because I played Morrowind as a kid. Do you ever play that? That was like two precursors to Skyrim.
Okay.
So they had like
it sounds familiar.
It's great. I mean,
I like those type of games though. Yeah. It's like third person type of deal.
Or first person.
Oh, okay.
You can
like
switch between first
builder.
and yeah. It's Morrowind. I mean, this is total sidetrack, but if you like games, it's kind of from like this weird, like golden era of games before they were like for the masses. So you still have to like work really hard at it because it was made for like super nerds. Like in Skyrim, like if you get a quest, it gives you the marker and you just walk towards it.
Yeah.
In Morrowind, it was like you like read the book and it says like, 12 paces from the old oak tree, go northwest, find the rock that looks like a hand. You know what I mean? You have to like, I kept like a notebook when I played it as an adult.
Yeah.
To like keep, anyway, as a sidetrack.
Like guidance.
Yeah. But to bring it back to pornography.
Perfect.
There's like the cat people and the lizard people.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that in the early game, they didn't have to put underwear on them because they didn't have like genitals.
Yeah.
So, there's probably a good 6 months where you're like, you kill like the lizard person, you like loot all the clothes off them. And I was too young to like know what to do with it, but I was like, hot, naked body, cool.
Look at your lizard tits.
Yeah, and then you're like, exactly. And then you're like 12 years old, you get to like middle school, you're like, this can't be my thing. No. I can't. Yeah,
I gotta go to another level.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody finds out.
A fork in the road here. Yeah. You have a real decision. You're like, I can't be a lizard porn guy. It can't be.
I think that was
fantasy porno guy.
Like middle school, like the GTA strip clubs were like.
Yep.
That was like, oh God, like? Is anybody watching?
Yep. Yeah. There was a strip club in the Morrowind game that was like, you go in and like close the game room door or whatever.
Yeah.
That was funny when we first got a computer, like a family computer, before there was like laptops and everyone had their own computer and stuff. Because I was me, 2 brothers, dad, mom. So you can rule out mom, but like I went to the computer and was going to Google something, typed in H, and like first search history thing was hot girls or hot women.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way you could ever figure out who did that. That could have been literally first family computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could be everybody's a suspect.
Absolutely.
It could have been the youngest brother, could have been dad. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Just Googling hot. That's so funny to think about. Like Google comes out, you're like, you can search anything, like hot girls.
Yeah.
And he spit, no, just hot girls.
So from just overall well, first off, what's your favorite game then, since we're talking about games? Is it the Morrowind?
I bounce around. I probably logged a ton of hours on Medieval Total War 2 strategy game. And recently I've been playing Age of Mythology. It's like an old, like it's from like 2001.
Age of Empires.
It's exactly like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Age of Mythology. It's like
Is
Age
that
of
Greek
Empires.
mythology?
Yeah, it's got you pick from like Greek, Egyptian, Viking, and
which one do
Chinese.
You pick?
I bounce around. Yeah. I like the I used to like the Greeks a lot, played as the Vikings a lot, but now I just try and bounce around. It's to collect the resources, build an army, try and fight the computer or whatever. And that one has a special place because me and my college roommate would like play it together.
Yeah.
And so we'd just stay, just crush Lay's potato chips and
Lay's with that dip, that French onion dip or anything like that.
Yeah,
bro.
the sour cream and onion chips. Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
The dip is insane.
What about you? What are you playing?
I'm not playing any. So I haven't done much, just building up, my business over the last 5 years. But I will sneak in. Oh, like every year, it seems like I have a little more time for like stimulation, for things. And really, the only thing I like is movies. But I do like. I got the PS5. I got it like as soon as it came out. I paid the $1,200. I was one of those psychos, and I got a bunch of games. But I spent most of my time playing. I spent like a week, like just playing Vikings Valhalla. But
there you
I'm
go.
running the business as well, and that's anyway. I get up anywhere from 4 to 6:30, and I'm up till 9. So it's like if I was now cutting my sleep down to like 3-4 hours. So I was like, it was fun, but at the same time, it wasn't like I wasn't getting enough joy for me to keep doing it for the time that I do have.
Yeah.
But I imagine 5 years from now, I'll probably pick up, whatever new system's out.
Yeah.
But I miss I was literally thinking about Age of Empires all the time. I'm like, all I need is a computer system.
Yeah, those are easy because you get
easy.
Steam. It's like $25 for the old strategy games or whatever. It's easy. But that's good. I mean,
But movies is my thing. I'll definitely do a movie a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for
nice.
sure. I'll definitely do a movie.
What is the big movies for you?
I've got like a favorite list of like 40 right now.
Yeah.
And I'll do rewatch, fall asleep, things like that. But my favorite is either Troy or King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
Okay.
So Troy's that old. I mean, it's
that's Brad Pitt,
mythology. Yeah,
right?
It's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And then if you read the Iliad or the Odyssey, it's just that Trojan War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the Trojan War horse and everything like that. You got Achilles. So
yeah,
love
I'm
that
a big
movie.
history guy. I like those movies.
Fuck with that a lot, dude. And Troy and pretty much King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Scarface is up there. You tell Scarface.
There you go.
Scarface
Classic.
and all that.
Oh yeah.
Those are like my top 3 right there. Those are good. all superhero movies though. I'm real big. I was gonna say just Marvel, but I realized I like any superhero movie. I like really lower my standards. I really love movies, so
Yeah, just take them all in.
Well, I mean, if it's cheesy, I'm not gonna do it. Like Liam Neeson or I think it is. Is he the one that says, I'll find you and I'll kill you?
Is that Taken?
Yeah.
I have a specific set of skills.
Yeah.
That one.
So he just came out with a movie similar to that, and it sucked. It was cheesy. So, but I did finish
like an action flick.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's pretty much all he can do. He like painted himself into a bubble of.
I felt like that happened with like
all he can do.
Especially with the stars hold on to that like persona for a long time.
Yep.
Where it's and I didn't see it, so I won't shit on it too hard or anything. But like the last Rambo one, where it's like. Rambo 6 or whatever.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna die in it.
Yeah, he's like 70 years old and he's still winning.
Watching it.
Yeah. You're like, it's and I didn't see it. Could have been a fun movie. I'm sure. I think
he broke his neck in the movie or something.
Holy cow!
Yeah, dude. These guys got to juice up and like pray and drink holy water.
Yeah, they got to give him whatever they give Biden to keep him up and running the whole time.
Literally, dude. I mean, they put one of those Energizer bunnies up their ass.
Yeah, a little lithium.
Yeah, dude. It's like,
a little spark plug.
Let's just hope he makes it through this scene.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. But I definitely believe you gotta find a balance of some form of stimulation. But I definitely think your first 2 to 4 years of business, you like whatever you're building, your endeavors, your pursuit, you pretty much gotta like lock in.
Yeah,
I didn't do shit my first 2 years outside of just.
That's a good time. That's a true timeline because for Chicago too, it's like, I don't think I got like booked for like a paid spot for like 2 years from moving to North Carolina to here. It was like, go to open mics. How many can you fit in a night? For 2 years straight. So you're just like stacking together 3-minute chunks of stage time in like bad locations. Like I didn't have a parking space for most of it, so I was on public transportation, I didn't like lose my spot on the street or whatever. So it was just a real like meat grinder for 2 years where there's no time at nighttime. Every now and then you get a day off work and you can like chill in the afternoon or something like that. Yeah. But I don't think I took like many nights off stand up unless it was like, if I had a day job or something at the time.
What's your favorite place you've performed?
I just did some guest spots for the first time at the Stand Comedy Club in New York.
Wow.
Which was
so you went up to New York then?
Yeah. Okay, I just made my first trip there about 3 weeks ago. And that was probably the most like I watch people do it here. Like I watch clips of like my favorite stand-ups and stuff here. So that was a cool experience. In Chicago, the Comedy Bar works me a ton. And so that's probably what I would consider like my home club. Like I'm comfortable trying new stuff there. I'm there a lot and we'll be there a lot, for the remainder of my time in Chicago.
Any big names come out of there?
Not out so much, but people are starting to trickle out a little bit.
Yeah.
Chris Higgins is a really funny Chicago comic. Just recorded like an album on the Comedy Bars.
Yeah.
Like they made a new label. For albums. So that should be. I think that's out. So that's good. And then I run a show on Thursdays at Zany's with some of my co-producers, friends and stuff like that.
Yep.
And the Zanies, both the Zanies locations are like fun. They're very well built, purpose-built comedy clubs. Like they've been there for like 50 or 60 or 70 years or something like that, however long, 1980s to now, 30.
What's
40.
The biggest audience? Was it the New York?
The biggest audience was at like not a theater, but like a community center, almost like an event venue in Iowa. I think it was like 300 people or something like that, 350.
Was that a dope experience?
That was cool. It was featuring for Dan St. Germain, who's very funny, also a New York guy up there with like Shane Gillis in that sphere. And that was cool because that was also like I had just started doing like 20 minutes about when that, and I was like a 20-minute set. So it was cool to like it was like a new experience to be doing like a longer set, and it was in front of like a huge crowd, so that was a very cool like double whammy.
Now out of all these exciting shows, I'd like to also like go to the opposite side. Like what's your worst experience?
Oh man, you stack up a lot, especially early on, because like there are some that are bad, and it's the fault of it's a poorly run show, venue's bad, or you know, like comic before you fucks up, and then you have to like pick up. There's plenty of that, and then 90% of the time it's like you just fuck up, and then like the rest of your night is ruined because you're like, fuck, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I had a few. I mean, the worst one. It's not not a super funny story, but it was just like frustratingly bad. Where I was put on this show. It's like I'm not a big pot guy or whatever, but I know I don't hate it. It's just not my number one scene.
Yep.
I got put on this like weed themed show. It was outdoors. People like brought like their moms, and it was like it was an audience of like mostly stoned people.
Moms.
Like it's like South Side, so it's like a crowd that I don't perform, but I mean I've done South. I'm not that by itself is not a great excuse, but everyone's stoned. People are like with their family. And and it's outdoors, so there's a lot of weird variables going on. And I brought my girlfriend to the show, which is usually fun, but sometimes you're like, damn it. But she was there, and I went up, and I was just excited not to be. I've been hosting a ton, which is when you're the guy who opens the show and introduces all the comics, which is a great skill to develop, and I'm happy I get to do it. But it's not what you get into comedy for. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be like the number one host for their whole career.
Yeah.
You want to get good at it. You want to do it. It's a great skill. But anyway, so I was excited not to be hosting because I'm not carrying the weight of the show on my back. So I'm trying new jokes. I'm being dirtier, and I'm not bombing, but I'm not doing great. It's kind of a middle of the road, 50-50 show. Some of the jokes are too dirty for like stoned people with their grandmas outside. But everyone can tell I'm fucking around. Nobody's like getting offended. They're just kind of like, this isn't really our specific brand of humor.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like a 50-50 show. I'm like, shrugging it off, getting off stage, sit down next to my girlfriend. And then, I guess a producer or somebody from the show is like going to do a guest spot, like a 5-minute spot in between comics. It's like a newer girl, and she goes up afterwards and is like, my girlfriend's also stoned for like the first time in like 6 months or something watching the show. And the producer goes up and is like, with all the seriousness of like, let's take a moment for the troops, is like, I don't think I can start my set until I address the foul things that last comedian was saying in front of his girlfriend, who's like right there in the audience. And it's like, points my recently stoned girlfriend out in front of everybody, is like shitting on me.
Yeah.
And then, and I was like, and then she proceeded to struggle because it made the energy weird in the show or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we leave the show, and like,
Jumper.
girlfriend's upset, and she's like, she's like, why would she say that? And of course, by the time you get to the car, she's like, well, some of those jokes are a little, it starts creeping in. And then that's a, are we out of time?
No, we're not out of time.
Okay.
I have an alarm for everything. I'm supposed to eat.
Oh, there you go. So that was just it takes like 2 days to bounce back from that. Where you're like, the jokes are good. They just didn't like them. The producer of the show clearly didn't get it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then to try and like, get your girlfriend to be comfortable coming back out to shows after that is like, that's a multi-step process. Where you're like, no. People don't do that. That's exclusively a problem that will happen at like an outdoor weed themed, one-off kind of show thing. But that threw me for a loop for like a month, because I was like, you start going through, you're like, the jokes aren't bad. Are the jokes bad?
Yeah.
And then you're like questioning that, and you're trying to rewrite them. And you're like, no, they were good. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. You have to go back and forth in your head and run the simulation 100 times. I think that was probably my least favorite comedy experience.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I could only imagine. It just sounds like a weird setting. Stone parents.
Yeah, it was a very
kids.
Yeah, it was just it was unfamiliar territory, and then the onstage heckle afterwards.
Now, do you get worried after what happened with Chris Rock and Will Smith? I saw someone on TikTok, like some comedy comedian just posted, like someone like charged the stage.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're gonna I don't think
Like, has that opened up a door for people to just come up and start punching?
Dude, I hope not. I'm like 170. I'm skin and bones.
Yeah,
if somebody runs the stage, I'll be like my flat Stanley up there, dude.
Yeah.
They'll just knock me down. I hope not. I mean, like, I think it's funny, you know, like, to play devil's advocate. It is funny to watch like comics who don't work. Like, it's not their job. They're not moving in a direction towards success in comedy. Be like, well, now I'm just wondering if I'm safe. I'm like, you're fine. No one's charging you at the craft brewery show. Right. You're gonna be okay. Yeah. No one at like the stoned outdoor show is gonna charge the stage. You're fine. That's not. But I do think that it's like there is a real thing. Like, for comedy clubs, I think there is a real. I understand why clubs took it seriously, because they're like, clubs get the widest variety of any of the places you can do comedy. A comedy club will get the widest variety of people, because it's like fans of the headliner or fans of comedy. That's the best audience that you can hope for, right? Is people who are just into comedy in general. Yeah. But then, that's not a majority of people in most audiences. It's not a majority of people in the United States. It's a niche.
Yeah.
It's a niche interest to be like into the minutia of comedy. So, 50% of a lot of shows, until you're like famous, are going to be like people who got a Groupon, tourists from out of town, people who Googled like things to do Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, that makes up a huge portion of the audience until you've built your own crowd, which is what everyone kind of is working towards. And when you're dealing with that, then you're dealing with a lot of variables, like, people idiotically, like just trying to do something that they saw happen on TV.
I feel like that shit was kind of staged.
It might. I don't know, but I've heard it. I've heard it put out there. I couldn't tell you. I'm not smart enough to deduce it.
I feel like
he seemed genuinely shaken up.
I don't know, dude. I don't even know if it's a level of intelligence. I think it's more of like everything going on in this world. I feel like it's more like just propaganda. You know what I mean? It's like, why? Because you got to think of how sheepish, you know what I mean, the entire world is. Like, yeah, how easy would it be? You know what I mean? How easy is it for us to, influence hundreds of millions? I sound like Joe Biden. Yeah, all right. Well, I can say hundreds of millions of people in the world. I was about to say in America, and I was like, fuck. You're pulling a Biden. You know what I mean? Is there even, I think there's like, how many people are in America?
I think it's 300 million. Yeah,
Joe Biden was like 800 million people died from COVID just in St. Louis, Arizona. Like, what the fuck? But seriously, it's like, it's so easy to influence such a large percentage of people, and then you come to find out there's some like court case going on for like some like major political figure for some type of like child pornography, allocations or things like that, and it's like with like Epstein's and shit like that, and it's like, simultaneously Will Smith slaps Chris Rock in the face.
Yeah, it might be a little misdirection over here. Look at this.
Like, look away.
This is the one
Aliens.
thing.
Oh wait. Chris Rock got slapped in the face.
I don't know. This is the one.
That was a fun game. I'm sorry to interject. Do you ever remember that Alien game with like, it was like Paul or something?
Oh, where you ran around and like blasted stuff
you,
on like PS2?
Shit. Yeah, it was like
PS2. My buddy had that. I never played it, but I watched him play it.
It was fun.
Was it called Kill All Humans?
I don't know, but it was fun, and it had to have been something around that concept.
Yeah.
Look it up while you're talking about it.
Yeah. Dude, I just remember going over to James McNattan's house and watching him play that before we didn't get any consoles. We got no game consoles till the Wii, except for computer.
Okay.
My
was kind of fun too.
Yeah, Wii broke my parents in because they thought it was
Destroy All Humans.
There we go. I was so close.
Fuck.
That's a blast from the past.
I want to get that game.
Yeah, check it out. That's a good way to blow off some steam.
Yeah.
After a long day.
Fuck you guys.
But this was, and another comic said this, so I don't want to steal valor here, but somebody made a good point that it was like, if it was staged, a good argument against that is that would be a hard sell for Chris Rock, because it didn't really, I don't feel like it's going to move numbers for him that much. It just kind of makes you look like a bitch in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's my one argument that I heard, because it's like, I finally had a TikTok thing go viral.
Let's go.
Viral, whatever. Get it like 80,000, 90,000,
That's
something
solid.
like that. It's and it's still ticking up, so we're doing good. But when I was putting like the hashtags in, I did hashtag Will Smith, like 3. It shows how many people are talking about it on Instagram or whatever. I think 3.6 million hashtags for Will Smith.
Yeah.
And I go to do hashtag Chris Rock. It's like 300,000.
Yeah.
So it's like, it didn't really move the needle for Chris Rock at all. And he kind of, I mean, like, I would be on like team Chris Rock or whatever, but he just kind of looked like he got schooled, and you know what I mean? Like, not schooled, but like, I think if it was going to be like, I think if it was staged, if I was Chris Rock, I'd be like, all right, you can slap me, but I got to have a zinger afterwards. Like, I got to come off looking like like we both got to walk away.
I think you kind of get burned by him saying, taking the humble route of like, hey, look, sometimes comedians step out of line. It is what it is. I give him forgiveness, and I'm not pressing charges. I feel like that's the ultimate move. That's like stoicism.
He does come off. He does come off with
now he's all stoic and like all humble and like wise beyond his years, and just like he almost like ultimate bitches will.
Yeah, he comes out. Well, he definitely comes out like looking. He comes out clean no matter what. Dude. Yeah, because he doesn't have.
And because now people are like mad at Will. Like, apparently he had some movie that was going to drop on Netflix. They put that on hold. Ooh. I heard there was going to, this is one of my favorite movies too, is I Am Legend.
Yeah, that's a great one. I've watched that a couple of times.
They think they were going to do an I Am Legend too. So I can imagine it's like, and I think he got stripped of the Oscar. I don't know. I think it takes him forever to win Oscars. So you know what I mean? It's
he finally won the Oscar. Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, like, not like letting him come up on stage afterwards was not, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like, think about like if Mel Gibson got up, and that's another thing people have said, like any of the classic crazy Hollywood people. Yeah. Like, you have to imagine that they would be like escorted out. People would be like, oh, they're crazy. They're drunk. Like, Will Smith got like 50% of people were like, Will Smith rules. Like, hell yeah. Like, he stood up for his wife or what, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it was a weird.
So weird.
It was very bizarre. Yeah. The way the cookie crumbled there.
Yeah, so weird.
Was very bizarre.
Dude, it's all weird. You know what I mean? It's like Will Smith slaps Chris Rock and COVID disappears.
Yeah, things. Yeah.
You know what I mean? What the fuck is going on?
You never know who's pulling the strings behind that.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I don't know if that's. But I do feel that way about things in general. Yeah, like alien. They're like, oh, I think we got a photo of aliens, and then it's like Epstein kills himself over here.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like everything's run by the families or something.
These got to be. That's a new. You talk about new jokes. This is an idea for a joke, which is that like the conspiracy theories that the world's run by billionaire pedophiles. That's the Epstein Island thing. It's like all the lights are on, all the businesses are in business, all the cars move. Because there's these elite billionaire pedophiles. It's like, that's no good. But if that's what's keeping the lights on. Maybe we just let those 10 guys keep going. I don't know. I mean, that's that.
Do you? As long as shit's working, as long as we eat.
Yeah, because the way the joke goes, like, that's kind of been the dream of every ancient civilization. Because, like, in ancient Egypt, like Rome, Greece, they were all sacrificing young virgins, hoping the food would get here quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
We kind of did. That's kind of what happened. Yeah, we got Bezos up there, and now we get free 2-day delivery. Obviously, pedophiles, billionaire pedophiles, boo.
No, he supports.
That's annoying when the audience is looking at you like, wait, are you being serious? And you're like, no.
Yeah, that's what I love where Dave Chappelle's like, now I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
These are jokes.
You have to really walk them through it.
Yeah, he's like really, like he makes you feel like, but he does it in like a way where you're laughing, but like he's like calling you like everyone's stupid. He's like, these are fucking jokes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know when I haven't been doing it long enough to like have witnessed the switch, but you can feel it pushing where it's like things just require such more explanation than you want.
Yeah, dude, because I was watching old specials. I watched Eddie Murphy Raw, and it was like 19, and I mean, he was dropping the hard F word.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that.
So and I was like, dude, I feel like if a comic said that like as many times as he said it, they might be like in.
Yeah, that's all behind the Patreon wall now. That's all the special episodes.
Like, I don't even know I feel like I heard Tony Hinchcliffe say it though at this last special.
Yeah,
like some of these guys, if you just run full steam ahead, you can get away with it and shit like that.
That's an interesting thing, and it's happening in comedy, but I bet there's probably a metaphor for it in business as a whole, where I think things are like moving away from like, and I don't think it's good necessarily, but it's got its pros and cons. Like things are moving away from there being a few megastars into there being like 100 medium stars.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from like, started with Netflix, but now people like are doing YouTube specials and stuff like that. And people are putting out stuff on Patreon and making their own money. And I feel like back in, like when Louis, Burr, Norm, Patrice blew up in, 90s, 2000s, whatever.
Yeah.
Those were like, you had to be so good at whatever you were doing that like HBO would be like 5 million people are going to want to watch this on our channel or whatever it used to be before everyone got subscription services.
Yeah.
And so people had to do it for 25 years and then they get a special. And by the time they got a special at, 15 to 20 years in, it was like every special was like a masterclass because there's only like 10 a year coming out. And now it's like, what was it? Like 2019, Netflix did like a special a week or something like that.
Dude, there's so many specials out there.
You can't keep up with it.
I feel like if I just hardcore watch these the next 10 years, I'll be a comedian, man.
You go through. Well, the thing is that now
I'll be the ruler.
people will get their special when they're like 10 years in. And so the specials aren't quite as good, but people are trying to get their own audience.
Yeah.
So people are like, the quality's, I don't know if it's dipped down or if it's just that everyone's more niche.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, all right, my demographic is into this. So like, like I'll go over here, I'll start a Patreon, $5 a month. If 100,000 people, which is a small audience compared to like, like NBC television or whatever, but it's like if, 10, even 10,000, that's a really small audience if you're talking in America. Yeah. But if 10,000 people will pay $10 a month for your stuff, then you're making a living. You know what I mean? You're making, is that $1 million, 100,000, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of moved in this way where everyone, yeah. But everyone's, yeah, get the numbers right. But everyone's moved into these little camps where they're like, all right, I'm like the far left socialist comic. I'll go over here.
Yes.
And that more than half the country can hate me, but that doesn't matter if 20% of the country will pay for it.
Yeah.
And same with like right way, and it's not even all political, but like people who are clean will go to like Dry Bar has got big from putting out exclusively clean specials. Yeah. People who are dirty will be like, hey, this website there's no censoring, so come over here for my stuff. And so it's really dispersed itself into like all these little camps. And it's like people who generally aren't comedy fans, like I'm a fan of all comedy. People are like, oh, I'm a fan of like, I like comedy, but only if it's done this way, only if it's done to my tastes.
Yeah.
Which might be bad for stuff overall, but it's good for middle-level comedians because then you find your audience, you can start making a living with it earlier than you used to be able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Food. What's your favorite food?
Food. Oh, man.
I talk about what I like. I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
I like movies. I like games.
Let me think.
I love comedy.
Favorite? I'm a big diner guy. I like going to diners. 24-hour diners.
You can find some wrong diners, but it's harder to find a bad diner than to find a bad, nice restaurant, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? I'll find a shitty, nice restaurant, but it's hard for me to find a good, like small mom and pop shop type of diner.
Yeah.
Good old greasy
spoon.
Fucking amazing food,
dude. The Diner Grill in Chicago. You make it in the city a lot?
I don't. I try to stay away.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If you
shot.
if you're in there in a safe part of town, like, nice north side, is this 24-hour Diner Grill. Unreal. And the California burrito there, which you wouldn't even think to order at a diner.
Yeah.
Dark horse candidate for best burrito I've had in the city.
Where is it?
It's called Diner Grill.
Diner Grill.
It's
what's all in it?
It's I get it with, you can do steak or chicken. I do steak. Steak, like the taco, veggies, cilantro, lettuce, French fries, avocado. And it's served with like the green, creamy, like pico de gallo sauce or whatever. Oh my God.
Shit sounds fire.
Cheese melted in there. And the guy who, like, if you go late enough, there's this guy, the chef there, who's like, dude, he might as well be like a Hindu god with like 8 arms. Like he's just like, he's on another level. He's like cleaning the grill with one hand, cracking the egg with this hand, taking an order.
Do you ever watch like, I don't know why it came to my mind. You ever watch like Dragon Ball Z?
way back in the day. I haven't seen it
okay.
forever.
Okay. It's just like he just goes to his final form.
Exactly.
I'm thinking of this guy going to like some final form. He's just Kamehameha on these fucking burritos.
Yeah, exactly. And everything is just churning out gold the whole time. It's unreal. And then I like the sushi and Thai food. You know what I mean?
Can't
like a
go
nice,
wrong.
yeah.
You
Good
can go
you
wrong.
can go wrong. That was easier to go wrong.
Very wrong, but
you find a good sushi place, Sushi Thai in
one.
Cary, North Carolina.
You ever go? No, have you ever been to a sushi bar where like it's on the rotating?
No, but I want to.
There's one right down the road. It's not that expensive. It's like I don't know. What
It just comes around.
Just goes around, dude.
That's a
You
blast.
pay like per plate or something. Like when you pull the plates off.
Oh, you
they're
get
like
charged.
Colored.
Woo!
You know what I mean? It's like $2, $3, $4, etc. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a blast.
It's fire, dude.
What about you? Favorite foods?
Man, I've got so many different places that I love to go. I consistently go to the Capitol Grill because they know what I like. I hired a nutritionist, and I'm real big on excellence, pursuit of excellence. So, but I'll eat anything. I'll absolutely eat anything. Today was a cheat day, so
there you go.
You know, I fucked around. We saw that movie, and you know, I think we spent $14 million just getting movie food.
What's some big nutritionist takeaways? Because I'm getting to the age where I'm like I can't keep coasting on high metabolism anymore.
Yeah. So really, it's hard because I feel like every individual is different. But what I'm consistently on right now is 6 ounces of meat, basically four times a day, and the breakfast is just 6 ounces bison, and it's just a bison burger. And I don't do anything else with it. And then I do for 1 o'clock, I'll eat 6 ounces of smoked salmon with just 125 milligrams of white rice and vegetables, like 100 milligrams of vegetables. Do that again at 4 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'll do another 6 ounces of bison and 125 milligrams of rice.
Nice.
But he'll switch up the carbs, and we'll do refeed days and cheat days and take in fats and things like that. And there's different supplements, but diet's 95% of it. You don't even have to work out and you can have abs. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the best shape of my life. I've always been pretty cut up, but like I'm doing no cardio and I look better and feel better and everything like that. But getting 6-8 hours of sleep naturally boosts your testosterone. So that's good for just that hormonal balance is good for just everything, your digestion and just everything that goes with that system.
I got so much catching up to do because, like, especially with like comedy stuff, dude. The lifestyle around it is rough because it's like, especially when you're new.
Vampires.
Yeah, you're out late.
Yep.
Alcohol is always around.
Yep.
So you got to like learn how to moderate that.
Alcohol, weed, those are all attack the testosterone.
Yeah.
You just need to be on. It's their circadian rhythm. You know what I mean? So
yes. I heard
your
that.
brain loves rhythm and systems. You know what I mean? So just finding a ritual. So even if you stay up fucking late, just sleep 2 to 8, sleep 2 to 10 consistently, and then eat at consistent times, and just be as consistent as possible with your intake and minimizing there's just a lot of bad chemicals, and like try to stay away from like wheat and gluten and shit. But you gotta mix it in there because you don't want to become intolerant. Because if you're like if you get so hardcore in your diet that you become intolerant to like gluten and dairy, then you fucked yourself for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're never getting that
eat
back.
Cheeseburger and then you know what I mean? It's like you just got out of like the Holocaust.
Yeah, you're shitting like crazy.
Yeah, it's like a lot of Holocaust survivors, they died from when they were rescued, because then they were the individuals that were trying to take care of them were given like a fuck ton of chocolate and shit like that.
Yeah,
and like all the nutrients were so like foreign and just too much, where it just like they internally combusted.
Yeah,
you know
I heard about that.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you eat carpet and like dirt for years. So it's like,
I have a mini version of that problem where it's like, you know, like especially if I'm like on a tear of shows, things are going good. I'm happy with where my act is at. Things are fun. I'm not overthinking it. Yeah. I'll do like 3 weeks where I'm like, I'm hitting Diner Grill late at night. I'm having drinks with the buddies or whatever. And then you hit that wall like the last week of the month where you're like, fuck, I got to turn it around. Like I'm exhausted. My body doesn't feel good. And then I'll go on a health kick, but my body has been so used to like, then like, you know, the acai bowl touches your system and your body's like, what? I don't even know what to do with this now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you have a salad and your body's like, I don't know. I don't remember what this is.
Acai is like my biggest cheat meal.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a good place that I order it from. Like if I have like a cold or something like that, I'll just order like an acai bowl and like just way overspend, getting every extra like vitamin, protein,
I have like
algae
I have
added
like
in.
a subcontracted like medical company that hires doctors, and so I'll order like basically you have to inject it yourself. It sounds kind of fucking it sounds like a heroin addict or something right now, but you can order NAD and you can
What's
order
that?
So NAD, I don't know what it breaks down to on the scientific terms, but I'm sure if you ask like your parents probably know.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially between NAD and then BPC, they're peptides. What I'm going to name now is BPC 157 and then TB 500, and it's called a Wolverine peptide. And ultimately, it's all immune assistance.
Gotcha.
And you basically just take an insulin needle, inject it into your stomach, and I haven't been sick in like 5 years. It's expensive. Like,
yeah.
I'll spend like $500 to $1,000 on like re-upping on, but I'll inject it Sundays, and like especially with me traveling a lot, but like. I do not like. I don't get sick. I recover. I work out anywhere from like I average anywhere from like 12 to like 14 almost like 2 workouts a day. 12 to 14 workouts a week, and I recover like instantaneously.
That's awesome.
I mean? So it's like, but it's from
some Joe Rogan shit.
It literally. I try to do exactly like what Joe Rogan does.
Yeah.
Basically, Joe Rogan is the truth. Everything else is a lie.
Yeah, that's kind of the gamble with comedy is like a career where I'm like, dude, if I can get it just to the level, if I can, like working on starting because that's the like hustle side of it now is that since everyone's found their own audience, people are like trying to you like do the agents, managers, stuff like that aren't as powerful as they used to be because so many people are trying to put it on themselves, which is, again, pros and cons, but like if I can get the Patreon going, get the social media kicking, go YouTube channel, whatever it is that I'm working all the angles. If you can just get it to where that's the big gamble with comedies. If you can get it to where it's your full-time job, then your days are now like the amount of times I'm like, I feel like shit, but if in 5 years, my only hours of work are like 8 to midnight. 4 or 5 nights a week, or even 7 nights a week.
You're just investing in rest, recovery, and working on your craft.
Exactly. The rest of the day is like work out, think, read, feel good. Video game cheat day, travel, see the world. It's like, and if it never works out, then you're like, well, now I've been working like middle of the road day jobs plus comedy on the side. Somebody
laughed.
Yes, yeah. You're like, well, I hope the back of the bar like that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount like where I'm, you're like in 5 years, dude. If I just had those open days 5 days a week to work on stuff like that, I'm just sitting there like
it's a whole different game.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like shitting out a frozen pizza. You're like, one day this won't be a problem.
Those Tostino's pizzas growing up.
Ooh, the pizza rolls,
dude. Well, the pizza rolls, but also like the four. Like the just the circle pizzas, you just cut them into fours.
Yeah.
I would throw just the Kraft American cheese slices. I'd throw an extra slice on each before I put it in the oven, and it'd be extra cheesy. It'd be fire too.
Brilliant.
It'd be like golden too. Like it wouldn't be too fucked up. On top of that, reminds me of one of my favorite. I would call it like a superficial diner, and they should have them in North Carolina. The Waffle Houses.
I love Waffle House. That was like a tradition.
Fire.
Yeah.
You can go wrong there too, but I've only had one bad Waffle House. It was some weird place. It was like in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And they just had, this is kind of sad. It's not even kind of sad. It's really sad, that roller coaster accident.
Oh, yeah.
Kid, dude, that's insane. I think that was Disney World. I think that was Orlando.
It sounds right. I just heard about that.
That shit was insane. Now, you said reading. Do you have favorite books? I know we talked about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is the all-time favorite book. One book. I'll recommend this. Great read. Archie and Mahitable.
Yeah.
Old book from like Prohibition era.
Yeah.
And it's just a wacky... it's kind of funny, but it's also sort of like heavily philosophical.
Yeah.
And it's from the perspective of a cockroach that lives in like in New York in a newspaper editor's office, and every night he comes out and hops on the typewriter and like leaves a note to the newspaper editor. And Mahitable, that's Archie, and Mahitable is the cat that he talks with. And so there's no like, you have to get good at reading it because it's written as if you can only there's no capital letters and there's no punctuation because he can't hit shift.
Yeah.
So he just hops from like thing to thing, and it's like the cockroach's view of people, and he talks to other bugs.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like it's the soul of a dead poet that's in a cockroach.
Yeah.
And I've read that a couple times. Yeah, you can knock it out in a day or two, if you're really reading it. It's incredible. It's super unique in the philosophy, and it's a good perspective switch, like the Louis joke. It's a good look at things from the other side. And then trying to think of some other books that I've read. I like folklore and stuff. I'm reading like a book of old Irish, like the history of Irish folk tales and stuff like that. Ghost stories.
Have you ever seen the movie Get the Irishman?
No.
It's a good movie. I mean, it's basically like an Irish gangster. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
It's good. It kind of has like that Goodfellas kind of vibe, but an Irish guy.
My YouTube's recommending a lot of Peaky Blinders clips, so I got to watch that.
It's kind of, I mean, it gives like a similar vibe to that. You know what I mean? It's dope, dude. I really like that movie. It's a great fucking movie.
You got book recommendations?
Book recommendations. All the books that I haven't really read any fictional books. Everything I've read a fuck ton of books, but they're all self-development and like financial literacy.
I was looking through some of them in there.
Yeah,
I remember reading Art of War.
Yeah,
Sun Tzu's Art of War was good.
Art of War is good. But if you're asking fictional, I think the only books that I really got into was what was it's Greek mythology and Percy Jackson.
Oh yes,
the Percy Jackson series I really got into. I liked the Mockingjay. I liked that. Loved the Hobbit book.
Yeah,
that was fire. I thought it was I mixed it up. I thought it was multiple books. It's one book. They made multiple movies out of the one book. Yeah. So the book though was absolutely incredible. Loved the book. I guess you can consider the Iliad and the Odyssey fictional as well. Those are good. I love Greek mythology is like up there for me. Like some of my favorite movies, are Greek mythology related. Like the Clash of the Titans and things like that. So
watching big into history, the ancient Greece and ancient Rome stuff is like fascinating times in history where it's like
absolutely.
It's still ancient, but people are like, you can tell people are starting to like come online for the first time and like think and postulate and stuff like that. Yeah. It's very that era of history. I watch, I do so many podcasts and like YouTube videos about history and stuff like that. Wikipedia deep dives, things like that. There's a lot of good, especially if you start looking at things like metaphorically.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of good like life lessons to take out of those.
Yeah, alternating perspectives is key in life. I like to try to find every angle and perspective you can kind of look at from different situations, circumstances, past tense, present tense, future. And I think that just helps you like just truly live life and find that peace. You know what I mean? Because it really allows you to, because when you're alternating your angles of perspective, you're putting yourself in a position to really internally reflect and then kind of decide on how do you want to perceive life from a past, present, and future tense. Yeah. And you start to realize that peace, happiness, and success and joy and everything, it's never going to be found and measured externally. It's all going to be found and measured internally. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you can get rich as fuck and be like, unfortunately, like, I think of like Robin Williams off the top of my head. It's like you get rich as fuck.
Great example.
Something's missing. You know what I mean? And you don't want to be here. I don't truly measure that as success. You know what I mean? It's like whether I meet somebody that, that has $1 or has millions or billions of dollars, it's like, how happy are you?
Yeah.
So I just got this great book. I'm excited. I'm going to dive into, a lot of just way more in-depth psychology development over the next year or two. I feel like I like to pre-order like 20, 30, 40 books because I usually read about 50 books a year. So it'll
fantastic.
It's all I have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's literally all I have to. I get paid to just get smarter. You know what I mean? In regard to self-development, everything that I need to do needs to be pretty non-fictional related because I need to be able to get people to think bigger and believe in themselves and persuade and sell and convince and with consulting and things like that. So everything's tied into my ability to communicate, inspire, ignite those dreams and things in individuals and see what angles I can do that. But I'm excited because this book I picked up, I think it was called the Mystique of Happiness or the Mystery of Happiness or something, and looks dope, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking at it, and it's like, happiness is found in the in-between. Everybody's kind of looking for, objectifying happiness on an external level. So many people want to, paint happiness as, a certain level of success in a career or place they want to go or an idea of a relationship they're going to desire to possess or whatever it might be. But it's a combination of pursuing, those things, but simultaneously acknowledging internally just this peace of within of just this pursuit is where I am happy. You know what I mean? And then living in that happiness and engaging in that energy. It's an energy, you know, more than it's not a destination. If you think it's a destination, you're fucked.
Yes, I think that's people are really looking for the highs with happiness, not like, that's something that I've really come to terms with a little bit over the last, I mean, you kind of had to during the pandemic because everyone's locked. It was boring as hell and everything shut down. But
Zoom comedy shows.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, a lot of that, a lot of parks, pickup trucks, stuff like that. But like, trying to find some peace in the, like, that's like people get it twisted when they're like talking about, they're like, well, look at the Scandinavian countries are the happiest countries. It's what they actually measured, I think, was contentedness, which is a different, I think, deeper thing where you're like, happiness is like that's like, you know, winning a game, you know what I mean? Having the best show, making a sale, that's happiness. And it spikes up and you chase that spike too much, but contentedness, that like low hum, that background, like, you know, the feeling of like, if this show doesn't go the way I want to, it's okay. My career doesn't end.
I always tell everybody they need to have a fuck it mentality. You know what I mean? If you get paid and it goes well and you blow up, awesome. If you don't, fuck it. You just gotta, you gotta find that pursuit that you're like, you could be on your deathbed being like, all right, I tried doing, you know what I mean? I went out doing when I was, that was go out on the sword.
Die by the sword.
Go out on your sword, not somebody else's.
Yes,
that's my opinion on life. And it's all right. Like if you're like, because people get, you know, sometimes I'll get, you know, attacked for saying colleges, you know, not necessarily the route, you know, everybody should take. But I'm not saying people shouldn't go to college. I'm saying make sure you're pursuing your dreams. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'll have girls slide up and be like, I want to be a fucking nurse, you psycho. And I'm like, I'm not telling you to come sell insurance. I'm telling you, make sure you want to be a nurse, and it's not your parents that want you to go be a nurse, or or just this social conditioning of the world, just making you feel like, you know, you can't go be an astronaut, or you can't go be, you know the head, you know, neurological surgeon of some, you know, major medical facility, or whatever the fuck you want to be. Go be a magician. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you making 80 grand being a travel nurse or whatever, you know, isn't gonna give you a level of happiness that you think it's gonna give you if truly deep down you want to be some type of magician or escape artist, or who knows? You want to own an axe throwing facility. Who fucking knows? Exactly. I'd rather die on that than die on, you know, having to answer, you know, to somebody else's dreams. You're always gonna have to answer to somebody. So I don't tell people, it's like, you know, everyone has to work for somebody. You know what I mean? The only time you don't have to work for somebody is when you have so much fucking money that you don't have to pick up your phone. You know what I mean? It's
all optional.
It's all. So it's like, even as like I've made a lot of money, but I have to answer my phone. You know what I mean? Like, Your financial freedom, you know what I mean? Like, your freedom truly corresponds with your ability to say no. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you can 100% say no, then you're 100% free. But if you can't, like, I look at Joe Rogan as somebody that's pretty, like, he's pretty close to like 100% free. Like, that level, you know what I mean? It's like, and he's not a billionaire, but it's like your desire corresponds with, like, whatever your desires are, your needs corresponds with whatever income or whatever it is you need. That's what's going to determine your ability to say no. So like for if it's, you need 50 grand a year and that's it. Then once you've attained that and you've set up a life and a system where you're getting that, you can say no to everything else. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Like,
you get to start.
I think he makes $100 million, but it's like, you know, that's his level of no. You know what I mean? Where he's like in a position now where it's like he does what he has to do, but outside of that, if he wants to say no, he can say that's 100% free.
He had a great quote talking to some comedian on an episode that I liked, where he was like, after you paid your bills, you got your family covered, there's gas in your car, money's fun coupons.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to like think that you're going to get to a level where it's like, you know, I have enough. Like, it's like if you're covering all your stuff, you got stuff put away for your future, your kids, if you have kids. It's like it's there for using, for enjoying and experience, like travel the world, help the needy, whatever it is that's going to like light a fire under your ass.
Yeah.
That's it's kind of the same thing. It's like, once you have what you need, then you get to start making the decisions that you want to make. You get to start being like, I want to go to Paris. I want, you know, whatever it is, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, facts. Anything else on your mind? We're a little over an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope we're not going too long for you there.
No,
this is a blast. I mean, not much. If I could plug the socials, that's a big thing.
Plug everything you want to plug.
There we go. I mean, check out the social media right now. I got to change the name. I understand. It's at 2BikeStevens. I made it before I was a comedian. It was like a childhood nickname. But if you just search Eric Emerson on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I'll come up in there. TikTok now, which it's, nobody's dream. No comedian's dream is TikTok or whatever. But it helps. All the likes and shares and stuff like that really do help, because that's what gets like clubs to notice you.
Yeah.
If a club thinks that you can fill the seats, that's a big selling point right now. So that kind of stuff is good. And then YouTube, check out the clips. My website will be updated soon with upcoming shows. So come on out. Those are the big things.
Dope. Anything else?
I think that's it, man.
Dope, bro. I got something. I always give one of the guests, you know what I mean, something. So I got something back in the office for you.
Oh, thank you, man.
Got you, brother. So I think we're good. So I don't know what episode this is. We got to be up to 50 something, but let's go.